Is probably the most erudite and most eloquent person I've met.
Most certainly. Well, welcome back. You're watching Nasdaq Live. We have Harjiv Singh. He's the president of Gutenberg Communications, and that works with helping build global companies, build global brands. Harjiv,
Yes.
glad to have you with us on Nasdaq Live.
Thank you.
It's a good day to have you in today because we have the top story today is the Chrysler sale.
Right.
Bought for 36 billion, sold for about 7 billion. So,
Yes.
I mean, is there any way of sugarcoating this? Is this, I mean, no other way of looking at it than a 9-year-old deal that really tie-up that did not deliver the anticipated benefits?
Well, there's really no way to sugarcoat sort of the value destruction in here, but I believe it's probably the right thing for the company to do so the management can focus on building the Daimler brand and just focus on that area. And the private equity firm that is the one that is rumored to be buying this is Cerberus, because the deal is not actually closed. It's gonna probably happen over the next 48 hours. So if it does happen, Cerberus takes it over. I believe they will streamline and prep it up and make it more operationally sort of successful as a company. And Chrysler is a very big brand in this country. It is the big three out of the automakers in the U.S. and has a fairly wide footprint, so it still has a chance.
Yeah, it's one of the most profitable U.S. automakers still. Yes. Well, the other top story we have today is Vijay Mallya, of course, close to another deal that's almost close to being signed. White and McKay of Scotland, right? 600 million pounds. And this makes it one of the latest in the large number of acquisitions we've been hearing about of Indian companies, you know, spreading globally. So, you know, this recent trend, what does it mean for Indian brands making a name for themselves?
I think it just underscores the fact that Indian companies have the global ambition to really become the key players in their industries. And Vijay Mallya's rumored bid here, again, it's not a confirmation, but it really underscores the fact that Indian companies have arrived on the global stage, and you saw The Economist had an article called The Marauding Maharajas, and it just sort of talks about how over the last couple of years the size of the deals have just shot through the roof. The first 5 months of this year we had about $23 billion in deals announced out of India, and last year, $12 billion of deals announced this year, and all of last year had only $23 billion. So in 5 months we've crossed the 50% mark, and I think you'll see lots more of these this year. It's just the trend is there, and there's debt is still cheap, so they can finance these deals to do this. Yeah,
so we'll see a lot more of these this year, but what are the challenges facing Indian companies who are trying to build this global brand?
I think there's a lot of challenges. Indian companies, while they're excellent operationally and from a management standpoint, they know how to really work in low-cost environments, have never really spent a lot of money on branding. And when you go outside of the country, it requires really playing at a level field with the Microsofts, the Samsungs of the world. If you're targeting the consumers, a lot of these companies, barring Mr. Mallya's company, are more industrial companies and metals and sort of commodities. And they would need to really still communicate who they are and where they're coming from. People don't easily know who a Hindalco is, which recently announced the Novelis deal for $6 billion. In India, people know it's part of the Aditya Birla Group, and they know it's a sizable company. But these companies would need to start to really look at how they go out there and look at the marketing function as an critical part to help engage their stakeholders in these countries, investors, employees that they're going to be acquiring out of these companies, and really start talking to them and communicating to them.
Are there any issues that are really specific to them? Like, can you give us examples? You mentioned Hindalco, there's Chorus. Any examples that really strike out that, you know, needed to be done and they actually went out and did it and achieved what was needed?
I think I'll give you an example of what Mr. Mallya was trying to do. Last year he was rumored to be going after Taittinger, one of the premium champagne brands out of France, and there was a big uproar from the local growers in the Champagne region of saying, look, we will not sell it to an Indian player. So you have a lot of resistance to foreign companies coming and acquiring in different countries, not just in the US, but in Europe as well. And I think the one company that really did a great job of managing that was Mittal Steel.
Yeah.
They had humongous amounts of resistance from different sort of sectors within the European Union, within France, when they bought the Arcelor steel company, and it was something they really spent a lot of time talking to the media and really leveraging that to their advantage. I think it's a great success story. I think India can learn a lot from some of the failures that have been out there. Large deals. Sinopec from China tried to acquire Unocal, which was a disaster because they did not communicate the value of this deal to not just the seller, but also to the public beyond in the country. So that's an important part.
Okay, what about the whole worry of outsourcing? Is that also a resistance, especially for tech companies even today?
I think it's gone down dramatically. As a company, we've got clients that are in the outsourcing space like Wipro. And Wipro had a very successful story about really articulating and engaging during the midst of this whole outsourcing debate during the last presidential election. And I think that's a good case study for other companies to look at, because they didn't go and sort of bunker down, but instead they took the challenge and said, look, let's communicate the value we bring to the table. And the entire outsourcing industry as a whole, including NASSCOM, which got a lot of credit for doing this, because they really went out there and engaged with the industry from a public affairs standpoint, talking to Congress, talking to the Senate, saying why this is really good for both countries. It's not a zero-sum game. I mean, if we're selling outsourcing services, India also goes and buys Boeings. Yep. Which actually, if you look at the sheer number of the deal size, I think we spent about $10 billion in planes last year. That's about half of what the outsourcing industry is, and that's just one company getting all that money. So I think it's free trade, and it underlines the fact that Indian companies need to learn sort of the environment.
All right, well, we'll see how that plays out. We do have the presidential elections coming up, 2008. We'll see how outsourcing, whether it plays any role at all in this election. Well, that wraps up Nasdaq Live for today. Do join us again for more tomorrow. And thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.